Okay, we're back from our break, and we're sitting here talking to Vern, the owner of the TV station, about his new House of Health and what it's going to mean for you, the viewer, increasing your access to a plethora of information about health care and related issues, as well as the providers in town, what they have to offer, seminars that come to town, being able to view those at your leisure, at your convenience and in the comfort of your own home without having to worry about getting out of the home, and as well as just being in contact with the what people have to offer in Pahrump and outside in the local community of Las Vegas. I think it's a real nice advance. I know from a practicing physician, I see a lot of things on TV where patients will view something on TV and then they will bring it to my attention. And you have to sort out the hype from what the real information is. And I think TV does a pretty good job of keeping it simple. But at the same time, sometimes they do, it just, the way your perception is. I mean, you interpret information and it's given to you, but you want to hear it in a certain way. Therefore, it gets distorted by the time it gets to me. And one of those things happens to be the commercials for all of the drugs you see on TV. I don't know why they do that. I really don't. I mean, there would be no reason to take a medication after you heard all the warning signs that they put on TV. But yet they spend billions of dollars, you know, promoting their product, and yet I mean, who in their right mind would want to take some of that medication, even though the side effects are minimal, but the FDA makes them put that on there. So one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit was I wanted to branch that last talk I've been doing about into cholesterol. And my next show, will be a little more in depth on it, but one of the things I wanted to bust the myth, one of these myth busters, is that the cholesterol you eat is what's important in controlling your cholesterol, and that is absolutely nonsense. Very little of the cholesterol we eat is actually absorbed into our cholesterol that we get. Eggs and shrimp and all the other seafood is lots of cholesterol, but it doesn't affect your cholesterol. Cholesterol comes from saturated fat. And that's how your body makes cholesterol. So it's the fat in your diet that's non-cholesterol that raises your cholesterol. And what I've been talking about for the past 3 or 4 sessions is about sugar and nutrition, other than I diverted for sleep apnea. But sugar is probably the most important thing that controls your cholesterol, and it controls your fat. So I wanted to bust that myth and say that, you know, you showed the picture of the eggs on there. Eggs are actually very good for you. I see a lot of vitamin D deficiencies, and one of the great sources for vitamin D is eggs. And they don't raise your cholesterol. A lot of good protein. And if you're not eating sugar, if you're
with
eating...
the yolk too?
Absolutely, the yolk has all the vitamins in there. Probably doesn't help it if you put a ton of butter on it because it has a fat. But if you poach your eggs or if you cook them in a non-stick oven, a non-stick thing, you're actually getting very good nutrition from eggs, and more so than from a bowl of Cheerios, which is sugar, which turns into fat. The process is, why do you see so many obese people today? Mainly because we're aging and because we're sedentary, but we have a ton of carbohydrates in our diet. And the carbohydrates are driving elevated cholesterol, and they're driving sugar production. One of the things that I try and explain to people, and this is an analogy, and I wanted to hope that if I get this point across to you, the viewing audience, is that cholesterol is carried in our bloodstream in a protein called lipoproteins. And I would say that an analogy to that would be a Lincoln town car, nice big car, okay? And in there you have the passengers, which are called the LDL, actual cholesterol. Good is HDL, bad is LDL, right? So if you eat a lot of sugar or you're a diabetic, what happens is you actually take the Lincoln and you divide it into 4 Fiats, and you actually have as many passengers, or in the same, but now you have 4 times as many particles carrying the cholesterol in your bloodstream. So again, remember, if you are diabetic or a pre-diabetic, you just took one cholesterol carrying item, which could be as big as a Lincoln, and now you divide it into 4 Fiats. What does that mean? That means when you test your cholesterol, you're just going to see the total number of passengers in the car. You're not going to see the number of cars. And the number of cars was what dictates the risk of you developing atherosclerosis, because those are what's running into your arterial wall. So for every Fiat that runs into an arterial cell wall, it can deposit its cholesterol onto that cell wall. So therefore, this is what you don't see. This is, you know, when you walk into my office and say, oh, your LDL is 70, and that's good. But we don't see the number of particles. So cardiologists, while they don't get into the actual fractionation of your cholesterol, they just want to lower it, because if you have 450 Fiats and they drop that down to 200, okay, they're going to say, well, we did a good job. But let's go through the math and look at this. If you had an LDL of 150 and that equated to a little bit of, let's say it's 100 for the sake of argument, it's 100 Lincolns. In terms of a diabetic, that would be 300 LDL particles, Fiats, right? So they drop your LDL cholesterol even further. Now you go down to 60, but what is your small LDL particle? What is your small car particle size? How many of those do you have? You haven't changed that at all. So you still have the same increased risk of heart disease based on the number of cholesterol particles, and that's what I want to spend some time.
They stick to the interior
No,
walls?
it's just like a freeway.
Okay.
If you have a jammed up freeway,
right,
okay, you've got more chances of a car hitting another car, more chances. If you're the only driver on the I-5,
right,
okay, at 4 in the morning, unless you're drunk, you're going to make it to wherever you go, you're not going to have an incident, right?
Right.
But if you're on the I-5 and you've got a multitude of cars speeding around, they're going to run into stuff. And they're running into the arterial wall is what puts their cholesterol on the arterial wall.
Gotcha.
So if you go to a doctor and he checks your sugar and it's in the 80s fasting, that's normal. That's the number you want. If you're 95 to 100, you're pre-diabetic. And if you're pre-diabetic, then you're making smaller particle cholesterol. The number doesn't change. 150 could be 150 with a good particle size, and could be 150 with a bad particle size.
Is there, for the general population out there, I mean, you're a doctor, you understand a lot of this stuff. Is there a way to learn about all this stuff? I mean, in the diet world, I mean, a lot of people go to a gym, they work out, they have a great time, but yet they can't lose weight because of the diet. And a lot of times people just don't have the time to prep the proper
yeah, and
food.
I spent that whole show about talking about just calories, about 1 pound equaling 3,500 calories. But what we have to do is we have to change not only the total calories, we need to change the types of calories that we're eating. So if you're eating a normal diet, let's say you're on a diet, you're eating 1,800 calories, but those 1,800 calories are fast sugars, okay? $1,800 calories. Cheerios, potatoes and things of that nature. That's the mainstay of your diet. You haven't helped yourself because those products make you gain weight.
Does the video that you talked to me about, I went online to look for your video. I think it's $2 to look at that video. Is that the same video? Is that the video I'm supposed to be looking at? Something about healthcare in America, or food in America, processing food in America?
Oh, that's Food.Incorporated.
Yeah, and it's a $2 video. That's the one I watched.
Right, but that's about how they converted our fast food industry, which you consider to be like McDonald's and Burger King and things of that nature. That's what everybody says is fast food. But fast food actually today is the processed food that you buy at the grocery store. Okay, the GMO, genetically modified organisms, the amount of carbohydrates in our diet. So, and the way they take what you think is healthy and they now processed it. So even when you think you're eating healthy at home, you're eating processed food. So that's where you have to educate on how to shop for those producers who produce good, wholesome food.
Do you know the problem with that too? Is that what you buy, this fresh food, it doesn't last very long either. I mean, you almost have to go to the market like every other day just to stay on top of it.
Well, now that's true with certain, but you can buy properly raised vegetables that are frozen.
Okay.
You can buy properly raised chicken that's frozen.
Okay.
You know, you can buy all this stuff and freeze it, and that's what I do. I just buy 3 weeks worth and I freeze it and I cook it when I have the time to do it.
Okay.
But it's all about educating yourself, watching that movie, about doing those things and learning the secrets of better diet without having to go to see a dietitian and all that other stuff that goes along with it. So,
Gotcha.
but I will spend more time on the cholesterol issue because there's a lot of misnomers about it, a lot of misconception about the numbers, what they mean, and it's important for patients and customers and everything to understand that more than it is your actual cholesterol number, it's your sugar number. That's what the most important thing.
Okay. Hey, listen, because we got to go. Can I put out one more call? If somebody's out there and if you want to get involved with DRTV in the sense of personally assisting me with the back end of this, there's a lot of intense work that needs to be done. I'm looking for the right person. I thought I had the person, and they have some medical challenges that they just can't continue. So I'm looking for a really sharp male or female that's out there that wants to be involved and working with the medical industry at large on a continuous basis, because I can't do it all the time. I'm very busy here. If you're interested in something like that, give me a call here at the station, 727-9400. Extension 203. That's 727-9400, extension 203.
And with that, I think we'll end it. Please pay attention and please come back next Monday night. We'll talk more about cholesterol and other related health topics. And pay attention because we do have the House of Health coming online in September. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight, Pahrump.